why it's so inspiring for many individuals like myself. And this individual, George Thompson, he's one of the people who inspired me to definitely make this presentation and to look deeper into Taoism. And I'm sure, as for a lot of people, he made a video about his transformation. I recommend checking it out. Basically, him going to China and his whole life turned around. He basically did the shadow work, as Carl Jung would put it. He, in his very beginning stage, and he shares this in the video, he didn't know what he was doing. You know, he was depressed or he had some dark feelings. He didn't really know what to do. So he's like, all right, I'll go to China. I'm going to try Kung Fu. He ends up going to China, to Wudang, and he talks to the locals there. And he ends up going to a Taoist, temple in the mountains. And he meets Master Gu of the Wudang Taoist Wellness Center. And they make a connection, and he starts becoming essentially part of their family. He starts producing videos. It's a very inspiring journey because he didn't expect to get where he was. And in that process of just being open-minded and trying new things, he found his calling. He found that Taoism was ultimately very helpful for him. And he still, went to some Buddhist temples and other temples as he planned, but he really found his home with Taoism. And so, there's a lot of people in this world who suffer all sorts of different conditions, health conditions, mental conditions. And I think this is just one example of somebody who may have gone through a lot of those dark patterns in life, but was able to get out of it. So very, very inspiring. And as for my own transformation in this process, I will say it's not information, although it's provided with it, because, information sort of comes along the way. I don't necessarily need to seek out the knowledge. I didn't seek out Taoism. Did he seek out Taoism? No. There's a lot of people who it reaches the individual who truly does care about nature, as myself, or who really is looking for something that can help them out in their life, but not necessarily in the same way religions do, or strict doctrines or ways or practices do, because Taoism has a different approach to that. And that always inspired me. I was admired. I mean, the minute I read the Tao Te Ching, for example, which of course I recommend you read, aside from this presentation, I was like, it's so simple, it's so profound, a kid can read this and understand it. I just thought that was, by itself, giving it so much value to its works, to its knowledge, that it didn't have to ask of you for anything. It didn't have any specific praises. There weren't people preaching it. There's just people with life experiences, and they're not fighting reality, they're trying to live with reality. And I was able to sympathize with it quite easily because of it. It just came along my journey. Again, I am somebody who cares much about nature. It's the title of my channel. And I've always held with me this message for myself: nature is the answer. And so I would study the world with a respect toward nature as the general, just baseline, right? My only bias is I care about nature. And I think a lot of people do. And they just have, again, different ways of using that sort of mentality. And I just saw where it would lead me. And it led me to Taoism. But without expecting it, I had a lot of views that were aligned to Taoism. I was like, wow. And then once I started looking to Taoism more, I realized, wait, there's a part of my brain I haven't accessed for so long. This yin, this right brain side, this darkness, this emptiness that is actually very useful. Like I mentioned before with the mug analogy. And so it's teaching me more every day, even though I'm learning less because I'm looking at nothing. I'm looking at emptiness. I'm looking at the uselessness in things, which is actually more useful. And this paradox, which sounds so strange, especially to anybody who's new to it, will be completely understood by the end of this presentation. I can guarantee you that. Because we can use real-world experiences and just look out into nature and see how things get done. And so it's very natural, right? Nature, because it is nature. And my goal is always to be, well, how do we become natural? And without necessarily leaving society, okay? Because we can still live with society, we can still live with other human beings, but learn how do we do that? And so this is a process. It's a journey. And my journey led me to Taoism unexpectedly. I did not intend it. It's just because I care about nature, and I didn't want to impose my will on nature, say this is what I think needs to be done in nature. I need to find out. I had a genuine search for the truth. What is it that I should do? What is it that I should care about, if I care about nature? What is it that I should do? And so I think this presentation is going to answer that question. What is it that I should do? And maybe more of the question is, what should I not do?